Hey guys, Terry Hay here from Shock Treatment. Welcome to 2024. It's a brand new year, our first day back. And I'm responding to a request that we had off our Facebook page. We had someone ask me if I could do a video basically outlining how you can get the most out of your standard motorcycle. So if you've just purchased a brand new bike and you want to set it up and get the best for you, how do we go about it? Well, now let's assume that we've got an average weight rider. I mean, when the manufacturers produce these bikes, they have no concept as to who's going to ride them, where they're going to ride them, or how they're going to ride them. So each manufacturer hits what they believe to be the average. So they'll put springs in to suit the average weight rider. They'll have settings to suit the average guy of average ability. And, realistically, the best we can hope for from a standard bike is in fact average. And so every year when technology increases and they give us better componentry, what every manufacturer will do is they will raise the average. The potential to get more out of the bike is always going to be very, very real. And so you've got a level of adjustability with most motorcycles, and you'll find that by optimizing those adjustments, you can actually get more out of it to suit your riding style, your personal preferences, etc. The one thing I'm not going to do in this video is just tell you what clickers to run, what sag to run, etc. If you want to get more out of your motorcycling, whether that be racing or just the enjoyment of the bike, if you want to get more out of it than the next guy, you need to be doing more than the next guy. And I can't emphasize the importance of testing enough. Now, no one I know of, not in America, not in Europe, nowhere in Australia, does more testing than us. Okay, we put the effort in and we get the results. I'll happily put our work up against anybody's. And so the reason I can say that confidently is because we put the work in. Okay, now, doesn't mean someone can't beat us, but I'm confident to challenge anybody. Now, with you, if you want to get more out of your bike, put the effort in. Okay, so we're going to test. Now, basically, what we want to do with any motorcycle, first and foremost, is we're going to set up the rear sag on the bike. Okay, now there are a million YouTube videos out there, we've even produced them ourselves, which go over the sag procedure, so we're not going to do that in this video, we're going to give you the sequence of events. Now once you've set your sag, if you choose a nominal figure, this is a dirt bike, you might set this at 100 millimeters of sag, and that becomes your starting point. It's just an arbitrary figure. A taller rider will run less sag than a shorter rider of the same weight, and that's to do with the angle of the swing arm pushing through the center of mass. And the reason that we need to test this is because different height riders will require different sag settings. Now, if we look at let's say a 6-foot guy who's standing here on a set of roller skates, and I'm his motor. Now, if I was to push from the back of his shoulder blades, it's going to end up on his face. If I was to push from the back of his ankles, basically he's going to loop out. If I push from the small of his back, I'm going to get maximum propulsion for my effort, and he will get the most stable acceleration. Okay, and that's exactly what we're chasing with the sag. We're using the spring pressure to actually change the swing arm angle to get us the right element of push. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, it's something that you're not going to nail with one single figure. So you start with the starting point, you go out and test, try a little bit more preload, try a little bit less preload. Does it get better? Does it get worse? Once you've found the optimum spot, lock it in, okay? If you want, then you can measure that sag and you can come back to that later on if you wish, but that's your sag. Now, after the sag, we want to go on to the compression. And you notice we're starting everything with the rear of the bike. That's because all the forces are generated at the rear. If we want ultimate performance, we want the ultimate motor, and then we want to get that power to the ground. So let's get our power sorted first. Got our sag sorted, let's go to compression. Now compression is very easy. It's generally an adjustment on the top of the shock absorber. You might have high and low speed compression. It'll be in your manual, and your manual will tell you all about it. But basically, what we're going to do is we're going to adjust our compression to get the bike as hard or as soft as we want. Now, we never ever touch rebound until last of all. So get your comp sorted, get it to the point where it's right where you want it in terms of how hard or how soft it is. And then we're going to move to rebound. Now, the reason we keep rebound last of all is because rebound is a consequence of compression. So if we're hitting a bump, the initial action is a compressive force, right? And depending upon how far it compresses, that will determine how much rebound we've got. If it compresses a whole lot, well then it will rebound a whole lot. If it compresses only a little bit, it'll only rebound a little bit. So we sort out our comp first because it'll determine how much rebound effect we have in the bike. And so basically with our rebound, this is where people mess up most of all. And they mess up generally because they'll attack rebound prior to compression. But effectively what we're chasing with our rebound is we want our rebound to be as quick as we can get away with it. Okay, now that doesn't mean it has to be super fast and springy. Basically, if we're looking at getting the wheel back on the ground to produce as much grip, after we've hit a bump, we want that pressure to push the wheel back on the ground to create grip and create traction for us and give us the ultimate drive. Now, if our rebound is slow, we can hit a bump and that wheel will hang up prior to actually getting back on the ground. And so while that wheel's in the air, we've got no drive quality, we've got no grip. Okay, so the faster we can get it down, and this is how a track shocks works. Okay, when a track shock hits a bump, basically the rebound will disengage and allow that wheel to get back on the ground as quickly as possible. Sadly, the track shock is not as durable as it could be, but that's a whole aim that they're chasing, and it did work. Okay, it was quite effective. But knowing that, what we want to do is we want to get our wheel back. We want our rebound to be a little quicker rather than a little slower. Now, if we go too fast on the rebound, basically our control will suffer. Okay, so what we're chasing for the rebound is a combination of grip and control. If we've got it so it's hooking up nice, just dial it in then so it not only has a good grip, but the bike becomes stable as well. So it's something that you're just going to have to test with. Okay, so sag, compression, rebound, that's what we're chasing, and we're chasing that all from the rear to start off with. Next thing, we're going to move to the front. Now the front is a little different in that we're generating braking forces with the front, which are far more extreme than what you're going to see out of the rear. Okay, now when we hit the brakes, basically our front will dive, okay, but we don't want the front to dive excessively. There are a couple of things that we can do about it. We can adjust the preload. Now this particular fork doesn't have preload adjustment. Some of the dirt bike forks do. All of your, well not all, but a lot of your road bikes do as well. And basically, as we hit the brake, if we're diving excessively, what we'll find is it'll limit our braking performance, because once that dives excessively, we're starting to try and hold back our own weight from going over the bars. So effectively, if it's diving too much, we'll add a little bit of preload, and we'll adjust that preload until we've got the best braking performance. So it's nice and stable. It should still dive a bit so we can initiate the turn, but not too much. Now, on a dirt bike, if you don't have any adjustment and we find it diving too much, we can add preload spacers, but that has to be done internally. Another thing we can do is we can raise the oil volume inside the fork, and that'll hold us up in the stroke as well. Now, once we've got our braking performance sorted, then what we want to do is adjust our steering. Okay, now by raising the fork height in the triple clamp, that will make our steering faster. By pushing the forks down in the triple clamp or raising the front of the bike, it'll make our steering a little bit slower. Now, as the steering becomes quicker, we actually lose a little bit of grip, okay, which is fine if you're in slow, sort of first to third gear technical terrain. If we get something that's a little bit more wide open, let's say we're riding in the desert or just high speed work, we will basically be chasing more stability and more front wheel grip. And so as we push our forks down, the front end will become more stable, and we'll have much better traction and control at the front wheel. Now, once we've got our steering sorted, then we're going to move on just like the rear, and we're going to be chasing compression. Once again, adjust your compression until it's as hard or as soft as you want. Chase the feel that you're looking for. Once we have that, we're going to move to rebound yet again. And our rebound, we're chasing grip. Okay, so super, super important. Chase the grip, and you'll probably find that you'll be back in the rebound out to get more and more grip, but as it comes faster and faster, you may find your quality of control starts to suffer. So that's when you wind it back in, get that best blend of control and traction, and you're away. Okay, so all of these principles that we've talked about with this bike also pertain to a road bike, they'll pertain to a super mono bike. You know, a bump's a bump. I don't care what sort of bike you've got. If you follow this sequence, you'll get the most out of your machine for free, and you'll do it in the fastest possible fashion. Okay, thank you.